How's it going, everybody? This is Cameron White with White Light Astrology, giving you guys your August 2019 horoscope for Cancer, Sun, and Rising. Thank you guys so much for being here and liking and sharing and commenting and subscribing. I love and appreciate every single one of you guys. We are ending July and starting August off with the new moon in Leo and Mercury stationing direct. Now, with Mars and Venus and the Sun still in Leo, this new moon in Leo I think is really going to give us a positive start and a fresh foot for this month, since July was a pretty heavy month, especially for you poor Cancer risings. However, this new moon is happening in your second house, and the second house is all about what you have, what you possess, what you physically own, and what your money looks like. You know, it has to do with value. And so while Mars and Venus and the Sun are there, there's been a lot of action going on there. You've seen a lot of attention going on. This new moon is a good time to kind of settle out, rebalance yourself a little bit, and get a little bit more focused with what's going on with your finances, what's going on with your physical possessions, and what you're doing with it. Now, on August 1st, that's also when we're having Mercury stationing direct in Cancer. And now that Mercury is finally done with its retrograde period, it first went retrograde in Leo in your second house, where you might have experienced problems with money, problems with income, or problems with possessions, miscommunications, or errors. Now that Mercury is back in Cancer in your first house and it is direct, this is when you get to focus a little bit more on what needs to be taken care of, the necessity of things. This is the sign of Cancer, and this is the first house. This has a lot to do with you. This is Mercury. This is about communication. This is about you doing what's best for you, doing what you need to get done, and handling that in a mercurial sense of, handling the details and doing things rationally and logically. Now, as we jump ahead about 10 days later on August 11th, that is when we're going to have Mercury re-enter Leo. And Mercury's still in its shadow phase. However, as Mercury goes back into Leo, this is when communication and expression comes back into that Leo energy of like, hey, I need to say this, I need to express this way, this is how I feel about these things, and it's put in the light, it's put into this grand way. But as Mercury goes back into your second house, I think this is putting more, again, logic and rationale behind what you are doing with your money, what you are doing with your finances and your resources and things of that nature. Also on August 11th, that is when we have Jupiter finally stationing direct. And this is a pretty big deal because Jupiter's been in Sagittarius for almost a year now. And as Jupiter has been in Sagittarius, it's been expanding and showing us, and giving us room to expand in the area that it's been in for us. And this is in your sixth house of work, of employment, of day-to-day routines, your health, your habits, and things like that. And as Jupiter's been in there, it's been, opening up space for more to happen in that area. However, as Jupiter's been retrograde for the past couple months, this has been more of a philosophical question, more of a spiritual question of, what do I want to do every single day? What do I want my schedule to look like? How do I want this to manifest into itself? And as Jupiter stations direct, this is when Jupiter is finally going to start bringing in more of the abundance, starting to bring more opportunities in this. Expect to be a little bit more busy, even though I know you guys have been busy for a while. But this is Jupiter being direct and Sag in your sixth house. This is a good busy. This is staying consistent. This is staying productive. And while later on this month, as Mars and Venus and the Sun trine Jupiter, this is bringing a lot of positive stuff to your wallet as well. Then on August 14th, that is when we have Venus conjoining the Sun in Leo. And this is also really important because at this time, Venus is on the other side of the Sun. It is conjoining it and going Kazemi, where Venus gets to get purified by fire and Venus gets kind of a fresh start to things. Venus is the planet of love and value and relationships. She wants you to indulge in the nicer luxuries of things. And Venus is wanting you to have a good time with it. While Venus is in Leo, this is done in a very out loud, outspoken, in the light, on stage for all to see way. But as it's conjoining the Sun, I think Venus is kind of getting this, fresh understanding of what value means within the sense of identity, within the sense of, pride, within the sense of ego, within the sense of how we feel about our sense of self. Now, this is happening in your second house, so this does have to do with your money and your physical possessions, but the second house is what you value too, and I think Venus being in here is giving you guys a better look at where do you need to place that value and where can you better express that value. Then on August 15th, that is when we have the full moon in Aquarius. Now, with all these planets being in Leo in your second house, focusing on your money, this full moon is in your eighth house, focusing on other people's money, shared income, shared resources, taxes, death, inheritances, things that are hidden and things that you don't always see. It's other people's stuff and you don't always know what they have. And so this full moon in Aquarius, I really think, is about getting your picture straight with, what debts you may have or what money you may owe, or if you're with a partner, bringing your guys' money together in a way. This is a full moon, so it's highlighting an axis and it's being able to see both sides of a story. So this full moon in Aquarius is looking a lot about what your money looks like and what other people's money looks like. Also on August 15th, that is when we have Mercury finally leaving shadow and we can finally say goodbye to all of the Mercury retrograde stuff that we had happen. And as Mercury leaves shadow and continues to tread new ground in Leo, I think this is getting a more logical, more rational, a better understanding of how to handle your finances, how to handle your possessions, how to organize and be efficient. And this is Mercury in Leo. Does this spark joy? Does this not spark joy? This is you got to be able to think about all of the things that you have and if it's worth holding on to, if it's worth keeping. And while Mercury's going through that, I think this is just about getting a clear image and a clear sense of what to do with your money, what to do with your possessions, and what that looks like. Then on August 18th, that is when we have Mars enter Virgo. Now, Mars is the planet of our action and our drive and how we, where our intentions are and how we really, focus ourselves. And Mars is also a malefic planet, so it brings problems, it brings frustration, it heats things up, it causes some anger. Now, Mars is going into the sign of Virgo, which is all about details, which is all about analytics, which is all about the written word and how things are phrased and stated. Now, Mars in Virgo is helping us focus on the specific things, but also Mars in Virgo is kind of where do we need to pay attention to detail and where do we need to take more action on the tinier things. Mars is in Virgo, so this is causing, this could be a little bit frustrating, having to deal with all the tiny little minuscule things that you think don't matter, but they do build up into a bigger picture. However, Mars is also entering your third house with this, and the third house is it rules a lot of things. It rules, short distance travel, siblings, neighbors, teaching, what you already know. And the big thing that I wanted to hit on is while Mars is in Virgo and transiting your third house, this is going to be mostly a time to focus on how you do things. The second house is what you have, and the third house is how you use it. And so while Mars is in Virgo, I think this is just about implementing yourself in the right way and just finding out where that niche lies. Then on August 21st, we also have Venus moving into Virgo. Now, Venus is, of course, the planet of love and value and relationships, wanting you to connect and indulge. She's going into her sign of fall, where she doesn't really work the best. Venus is kind of wanting to have fun, and in Virgo, there's all of these things to do, and Venus can get overwhelmed with the specifics that they're not going the way that she wants them to. However, as Venus goes into Virgo, I think this is putting more of an emphasis on beautifying and enjoying what exactly, you're having to focus on when it comes to details, when it comes to hard work, when it comes to progression and consistency. And then on August 23rd, that is when we have the Sun enter Virgo. And now we have Mars, Venus, and the Sun all in here. And later on, we're going to have Mercury and the new moon in Virgo. However, as the Sun goes into Virgo and it shifts from Leo into Virgo, this is kind of bringing the light and attention on what is physical, what is tangible, what can you focus on, what can you do. This is Virgo stuff, so this is about consistency. This is about having a plan of action. And as this is in your third house, I can't stress this enough, how this is about, executing and laying things down and being specific with your actions. Then on August 24th, that is when we have Venus conjoining Mars. And the reason I bring this up is because while Mars is in Virgo and you're, wanting to do everything that you can and get all of the specifics done, it can be overwhelming. There can be a lot on your plate. Venus is in Virgo where she's wanting to have fun with this. And I think what's important is while Venus conjoins Mars, this is kind of if you're going to focus on all these detail stuff, if you're going to start building something, if you're going to start growing, because this is a very positive month, there's a lot of construction going on, you have to be able to enjoy the process. And I think that's what Venus and Virgo is here for. If you've got to write, hand write a letter, make it nice font, write in calligraphy, make it beautiful is a good way to put it. And it's about enjoying this process. And so while Venus conjoins Mars, I think this is about putting an emphasis of value and seeing the value and paying attention to detail. Then on August 29th, that is when we have Mercury enter Virgo. Now, Mercury is finally in its home sign, where Mercury, the planet of our thoughts, communication, our mindset, how we're thinking about things and how we're going to go about them. While Mercury's in Virgo, it can be more specific, it can be more clear, it can have more rationality, it can see things more logically, and it can start to apply things and connect the dots a little bit easier. So while Mercury's in Virgo and things start to make more sense and start to become more efficient and more effective, while Mercury's going into Virgo, it's going into your third house of communication, of how you write, of how you speak. This has to do with teaching and short distance travel and neighbors and all of that other stuff. But like I said about the third house is like how you utilize yourself. Mercury in Virgo is like having the right mindset and not getting overwhelmed with the ideas that are going on, but being able to see every single idea that you have and still being able to have the power and the energy to apply those things. Now, once we end the month on August 30th, we're going to have the new moon in Virgo. And so now we have, again, the sun, the moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, all in the same sign, all in your third house. This is a lot of like planting seeds for a good harvest. It's all going to be trining Saturn too. And so while Mercury's in Virgo, Venus and Mars, the sun, this new moon is kind of like helping us focus on what we need to focus on, giving us the energy and to reset our batteries on where do we need to, take action on the details, where do we need to apply ourselves more, and where do we need to apply ourselves more. And with that being said, that's what I got for you guys. So thank you guys so much for being here and liking and sharing and commenting and subscribing. I love and appreciate every single one of you guys, and I'll be seeing you next month.